Hey everybody, this is James, Empty Pockets Garage. If you're here, you know what time it is, you know what day it is. 7 p.m. Sunday evening, February 9th, I believe it is. It's been a very fast-paced week, and I think the big, major, and only really big story they're all important. So when we talk about these things tonight, I won't say one's not more important than the other. What's up, Rusty? But D.O.G.E, I tell you, it is a breath of fresh air. I have been watching and enjoying myself as these professional politicians losing their shit. It's almost like watching those purple haired, pasty people screaming into the TikTok camera, watching these politicians go ape shit over D.O.G.E. And they keep acting like he's like in it for the money. He's got these contracts or whatever that's worth billions of dollars. But let's be honest, you got to know that the richest man in the world doesn't need this kind of freaking headache for a few more dollars. At least I don't think so. I mean, I could be naive. I could be. But I don't think so. I mean, these people are in it for the right reasons. I mean, you take the 19-year-old, what is it they called this kid? I don't know. Bros, uh, Elon Musk bros. These kids are, one kid is smarter than 90% of Congress. Well, actually, he's probably smarter than all of Congress, but some Congress has common sense. So if we go to that aspect, um, the kid is a smart individual. And I don't know if you've been around a bunch of smart people or not. I mean, I say that sounds kind of dumb to say, but uh, I've been around some people that have some severe high IQs, and yeah, Rusty, jump back over to the Super Bowl commercials that he's going to list some of the. Hang on a second, guys. Some of the stuff they found. He's spending his own money to make these commercials. This is what the richest man in the world does. This is not somebody who's trying to grift the country for a few more dollars. But anyway, back to people of higher intelligence. Because I mean, I'm just a simple guy. I mean, I barely got through high school. I've earned a living with my hands. I became a manager eventually after some years down the road, but it was still over a bunch of people who use their hands for a living. No engineers, although some of these mechanics are smart enough to be engineers. But anyways, I digress. When you get somebody who is on a higher plane of intelligence, things like money don't really motivate them. It's the process. It's like they are so involved in the process to get to an answer. And you know what I mean when you take a math equation, you tell them the answer, and then they don't just want to know the answer. they want to know the process to get to that, and they'll obsess until they get through the whole process to get to that answer, so they feel more comfortable that the answer is correct. So I don't know. Some of you guys probably been around some severely highly intelligent people. I mean, I have people in my life that are members of Mensa. So these motivations that these dumb, low IQ politicians are trying to put behind the reasons why these young men and Elon Musk is doing this. They're doing this for the good of the country. And I've seen some Democrat argue today that President Trump uh, making it like it sound like he's hypocritical because he ran the debt up so far when he was in office. But a lot of that debt went up right at COVID. So, and I'm not making any excuses. And the thing is okay. So let's say you do something like that. You run the debt up. You run your own personal debt up, and you say, okay, how do I fix this? I want to get out of debt. So it's my fault I got in debt. So what do I do to fix this? So why is it the debt keeps climbing, but nobody's lives are improving? Now I had a whole list. I lost it on my phone. This is my technology, low technology. A list of stuff, and y'all have seen the obvious list they keep going over. Some of it, I guess, has been debunked. Although the ones that I've heard people say that some of this stuff's been debunked, but I haven't heard them say which things have been debunked. So I hate when they say, "Oh, it's been debunked," just like they say the eating the cats here in Springfield's been debunked. No, it hasn't. So uh, I hate when people bring that terminology up. It's been debunked. Well, explain to me what's been debunked and how did you come to that conclusion? I haven't heard any of that. But I mean, I had on my phone a huge list that was a lot larger than what you've been seeing in the news. And I'm sure you guys have all seen the same list I have. The version of Sesame Street. I always say Sesame Seed. I don't know. Sesame Street in Iraq. I mean, come on. You got. I just made a short list. We spent $40 million towards the Wuhan lab. I mean, $40 million for a lab that helped the world get sick. I mean, when they say they looked at all this stuff, they're trying to look and see what are we spending and what does it do to improve either the United States and the world standing or the American people directly. So a lot of this stuff, and it keeps it, I've heard, the left say, well, people are going to die. There's humanitarian aid that's part of this. But, just because they're shutting that department down, those things can be transferred over to another department. We don't need a department, especially a department that says we don't answer to the president. Are you kidding me? We don't answer to the president. And told Marco Rubio, we don't answer to you. Well, who do they answer to? They keep saying Elon Musk is the unelected person doing all this. Like he's a staff member for President Trump's administration. He obviously, who's been running the country for the last 4 years? Because it obviously wasn't Biden, so it was being ran by unelected individuals or people who are elected in other positions that shouldn't be making decisions in that position. So they had the hypocrisy is huge in this uh, scenario, this story, uh, and it makes you wonder, why are they so angry? They've been campaigning them doing this for what, almost 2 years now, over a year for sure. They're doing exactly what they promised us who voted for him they were going to do. Why are they so mad? Why is the left so mad? They act like this is like a surprise, like this wasn't going to happen. But we all see, we see the real story behind this. They're about to lose control of their media outlets because these media outlets are not going to, they've already been laughing at them recently because of all this meltdown. And then they start realizing that, ooh, our paychecks are tied to this D.O.G.E investigation. USAID pays part of our incomes. Oh, so we better start talking shit about Elon Musk too, because what he's doing is going to affect us now. The thing is, and I know these federal district judges are trying to say it's unconstitutional. How is it unconstitutional to do an audit? Where is it anywhere in our Constitution that says that the United States president is not allowed to do an audit on all government agencies that is paid for by the taxpayer? Hey Bev, how you doing? Bill, sorry, I've been talking. I'm looking at the chat. I've been trying to. This whole Doge thing is really, it's got me excited, and it's also got me even. I know y'all. My anxiety was at an extreme level before the inauguration, big time. But they're messing around. This is also how they slide money into the everything nasty in the world. The CIA gets most of their funding, it looks like, for their covert stuff through this USAID. This department they're saying, well, okay, let's do a ratio of how much good they do in the world and how much bad they do in the world. Well, we're not going to know that tally for a little bit because they spend multi-billions of dollars all over the world of our taxpayers. There's no wonder, because somebody said something, and I was on Killer Carl's live stream last night on Rumble, and the person talking about, well, the USAID is only 0.6% of the U.S. budget. I don't think that's probably true. It's probably higher than that. But the thing is what does it matter what the percentage is? Those millions of dollars wasted, it sounds okay, 0.6%. That money could have helped the people of North Carolina several times over, the people in Florida, the people out in California. That part of that 0.6% that's being wasted for dumb stuff all over the world. And I wish I had the larger list, but I don't have it with me now. But, let's go back. People talk about USAID like it's something new. It's not new. Do you know back during when Bill Clinton was in office, Haiti back in 2010, I think it was, they had that earthquake. So they put towards rebuilding the port and I think what was it, a power plant? Sorry, like $1.1 billion. I think it was. It was a stupid amount of money for the early '90s, mid '90s, whatever it may have been. Or sorry, the 2010. But anyways, it was Bill Clinton that set this up. I gotta get my facts right. I don't want the trollers to call me a liar. So, anyways, Bill Clinton set this up to do this. To use USAID for humanitarian aid, and why? Because of the Clinton Foundation. Let's be honest. But in 2010, not Bill Clinton himself, but they used USAID $1.1 billion to rebuild a port and a power plant in Haiti. That, guess what? Never got built, and the funds disappeared. Nobody ever asked about that kind of thing. These people have not, they don't get audited. Why don't these people get audited? And I've not, and they may have been audited before, but I've not heard one person say that this department has ever been audited for anything that they spent. Yeah, Bill. Let's see here. Who runs people? Yeah, I mean, Zelensky, I just seen an interview with Zelensky over in Ukraine. Did you see, they talked about this huge table that Putin was sitting at during an interview because it was massive, in a nice big fancy room. Well, I'm pretty sure that room that Zelensky was doing his interview was just as nice, if not better, actually, in a war-torn country. So he's living high on the hog. U.S., not just our dollars, but mostly U.S. money. This thing, there's a lot of fingers to this. I mean, we could jump down so many rabbit holes with this deal. I mean, this is why I wanted to talk about this, because this subject can be a topic of several conversations, and everything having its own little rabbit hole you can jump down into, and this funded that, which did this to create this problem, all kinds of weird stuff. But anyways, to get back on topic, sorry, I ramble, I do. So that money disappeared. That's kind of weird. Now, in 2006, this is what I'm saying. USAID is not nothing new. Of course, it's been around for decades, but I'm just doing the 2000 stuff. In 2006, Cuba, we spent $74 billion to promote democracy. And did it move Cuba any closer to democracy? And what happened to all that money? Did it really? $74 billion? And people talk about 0.6% of the budget. Holy crap, people. They talk about needing infrastructure money and all this. This is why we're broke. This kind of money, this 0.6% of the budget, well, it's probably a bigger percentage of the budget a couple decades ago, but we spend so much money now that the percentage is shrinking, but the dollar amount isn't. So $74 billion. When I looked that up, I was like, God, I was thinking maybe 74 million, but billion. And here, most of us struggle, work all of our lives, and if life doesn't turn out the way we want it to, whatever physical reasons, you know, job reasons, whatever, family reasons. And we struggle. And when we think about that money just flying in the pockets of politicians and foreign dignitaries, I really I have a bromance going on right now with Elon Musk. And you know, they always talk. I know it's funny. They say, "Well, Trump is a low IQ person." You know what? I'm a low IQ person, but I'm smart enough to know that if I was in a position that I was hiring people, that I would hire some smart individuals. So Trump is smart enough to hire some smart individuals. And you know, and he what's sad about this is, and I know Trump wanted to do this, but it required somebody like Elon Musk to offer his services to get the ball rolling in the way that it's rolling. Because we all know if it wasn't for Elon Musk, uh, Trump would still be fighting the swamp the same old conventional ways. For the most part. I mean, he's a wrecking ball, uh, but he would be fought tooth and nail, and he would still be struggling on how to tear down the swamp or drain the swamp, whatever you want to say. So it is a good thing that Elon Musk is doing this, in my opinion. Some people don't trust him, but you know, is there anybody you can really trust 100%? You got to go by their actions, their deeds, whatever you want to say. Um, you know, it's like when they do these tweets on X or whatever, you know he's trolling them. You know, when he's talking about firing everybody, they're trolling. Because Rubo Marchio already said, I forget how many people he kept. It wasn't a whole lot of people. I was shocked to see how many thousands of employees USI AID employed. Think about all that income that tax money is paying for. You know, people talk about, well, there's not enough workers in this country to fill all these positions. This is why we need all these immigrants to come from the South to help us out because we don't have enough workers wanting to do the jobs. Well, we're about to have the uh, employment field flooded with people needing jobs. So we're kind of like fixing our own problem here. All these thousands and thousands of people that work for the government, and most of them work from home, which, God, man, can you imagine having a job that cushy? You know what I mean? You're pushing a few buttons at the house. Nobody's there to oversee you. There's nobody auditing you. When you're in the right crowd, you know, nobody questions what you do. I mean, God, well, I'd like to have a job like that. Now they're about to be forced out into the real world and actually work for a living. Yes, yeah, Bill, he is. That's true. Children and paying the children a living wage and never work. Absolutely. Hey, Janice, how you doing, Janice? So, like I said, I, this is exciting. I mean, I literally, when I wake up, I don't feel, you know, depressed that I live in this country right now. I'm feeling pretty optimistic. Now they're already talking about, well, price of eggs haven't gone down, and in some cases, some things have went up. The man's been in office a month. Oh my God. They are ridiculous. And some things will go up because of what we're doing here. But sometimes, you got to get over a hurdle before you can get over to the other side. So some things may hurt a little bit, but the big picture, that's the problem. A lot of people don't see the big picture. Uh, Things hurt for a little bit to improve. These things, I'm hoping that they take all these executive orders and run them through Congress and get them beyond the executive order thing so that the next president can't come back in and just swipe it all away with a pen. Because that's what's happened these last, since Obama. Every time we come in, they take away, they add what they want. The next one comes in, they take away that they don't like, they add what they want. And they don't never, Congress is broken, so there's no reason right now why we can't get this stuff through Congress and get it done right. Yeah, Doris, that's what I'm saying. And I don't know where you guys are at, but like gas prices have come down here. And to me, energy is the core of everything that costs us in America as far as inflation. It ain't always going to, it's not the tariffs, it's nothing like that. It's what does it cost to get those products to us? And what does it cost to heat our houses and to run the electric in our house? And what does it cost for us to get back and forth to work? All that stuff brings everything else down slowly. But it's like a diet. If you do a crash diet, you're just gonna yo-yo back. Sometimes more weight than you started with when you start losing weight. So you have to. It's a lifestyle change. What we got to go through right now, and I'm just now saying this because it's not nothing I thought of deeply, but it's a lifestyle change. Yes, drill, baby, drill. I agree. People talk about that's a bad thing, but let me tell you something. They're drilling all over the world. We are the cleanest country in the world when it comes to this technology. Why would they not want us to drill and keep it as clean as possible? They make no sense. But let's roll back into Doge. So I was looking this up, and you know I couldn't find the exact dollar amount, but I guess millions was set aside through USAID to build a hospital over in Afghanistan. Well, apparently the hospital never got built, but the money was allocated. So they allocate this money out to these contractors that never do the job, and there's nobody in government that holds them accountable because there's no, for lack of a better word, follow up. You know what I mean? It's like you got a group of people over here that has the money, and you got people over here saying, hey, we want to do this over here, give us the money. And they say, okay, we'll give you the money. So these people take this money, give it to the contractors, and they wash their hands of it and say, oh, look what we can campaign on. And they go on about their business because they say we did our part. But nobody ever does even follow it. That's, I don't think we should be building hospitals in other countries unless it's a poor country. And I realize Afghanistan is war ridden, but it's also controlled by a terrorist organization, and their main product that they export in Afghanistan is opium, poppy, whatever you want to call it. So, do we really want to invest? I mean, hell, they got that kind of money that they can put their own hospital up. So it sounds, I don't want to sound heartless, but once again, money being spent, does it move forward something that benefits the United States or the U.S. citizen directly? And so far, none of these things do. And if it, even if some of this stuff, like the Haiti thing, if that would have actually been built, I mean, it would seem like an exorbitant amount of money, but our government never knew how to build anything uh, economically feasible anyway. So, um, but the stuff don't get done, and nobody holds nobody accountable. Now they're looking into this stuff, and they want to hold people accountable. And the left saying, "Oh no, you don't have the constitutional authority to hold anybody accountable for this. You don't have the right to fire anybody." Have you ever heard anybody tell the boss that he don't have the right to fire somebody? Because no matter what, um, now unions, it's a little dicier deal. But if anybody's been in a management role, and I was management, I can fire whoever I want to. The only difference is you may, if I fire you and they deem it unjustly, you'll get unemployment benefits, which will come out of a percentage of. It's like where I worked, it was like a certain amount uh, for each $100 earned by the employees in the company. But anyways, that doesn't matter. If I was trying to get rid of a problem child and I deemed it worth my while to take the financial hit to fire that person, I still could fire them because they don't get their job back. They may win the unemployment case, but they still don't get their job back. And I had every right to do it. And nobody can stop me. I can say he looked at me wrong one day and I just didn't like it. So his ass is out of there. Now he's going to get unemployment, but he's still gone. So for them to say that it is unconstitutional to fire these people, I don't believe that's true. Now, if there's unions involved, there'll be a legal. But this is where Trump knows his deal. He knows his business. He's giving them severance package. Very nice severance packages, I might add. 8 months. Matter of fact, some of them, what is it? It's like they're on administrative leave for 8 months till they determine whether or not they're going to have a job or not, because they can be terminated at any time during that time that they're off. So imagine some of the income levels of some of these people, and they're going to get 8 months pay. Some may get to keep their jobs, but most of them will not. So, but if you think about all the millions and billions of dollars being spent on, well, I mean, hell, let's do this real quick. $40 million went to the Wuhan lab. Woohoo. $40 million went for schools in Jordan. Jordan isn't a poor country. Jordan's a very well-off country. Why are we spending $40 million to finance them schools when we can't even have decent school here in our country? It's like $2.5 million for DEI training in Serbia. That's kind of ridiculous. $11 million to fight trash burning in Vietnam. What? To fight trash burning in Vietnam? What the hell? I digress. $79,000 for the DEI musical in Ireland. Of course, these are some of the ones that we've all heard recently. $47,000 for transgender opera in Colombia. I mean, $47,000. $32,000 for a transgender comic book in Peru. $20 million. Well, I've said this earlier, for the version of Sesame Street in Iraq. $56 million to promote tourism for Egypt and Tunisia. Why are we spending money promoting their tourism? My girlfriend has been to Egypt, and she deems it an unsafe place to be, even in good times, because I'll not go into it. Let's just say she's kind of a tall blonde, and she's quite recognizable in a car. She had a driver while she was over there, and she she was pulled over and had AK-47s put in her face because she's nervous, and they're yelling at her for papers or whatever in foreign language. She can grasp some of the language, but she's nervous, and so they're screaming at her and they're putting a gun in her face and all over. And this is not during dangerous times now. This is just the fact that they noticed a tall blonde being driven around in a car around Egypt. So why are we promoting tourism for them? See, what else do we have? See, I don't have much. I think that's all I had written down, but there was a much larger list. The list keeps getting longer and longer. And matter of fact, if you guys got some to add to that list that I haven't listed, holler it out there in chat, and we'll talk about it. Maybe seeds planted, grown, and trees out of research. See, Beverly, I was just talking to Carl on his live stream. Before the live stream, we were talking about an interview that he sent me that I watched, and he was talking about the gentleman's book. I'm dyslexic. It takes me probably twice as long because I have to, and I've learned to get better as I've gotten older, my way of reading compared to how you were taught in school. It's not the same. People who don't have dyslexia probably wouldn't understand what I'm talking about. But there's certain disruptors in your brain when you're reading a paragraph of something. It's almost like some of the words in the paragraph clutters what you're trying to comprehend. So I've gotten better at grasping that kind of stuff, and I read a lot, but like I said, it takes me twice as long sometimes to read over something than what other people, because I have to keep going back. Yeah, I think, matter of fact, the Super Bowl, I think Elon Musk is going to have a list in a couple of, I guess he's financing a couple of commercials. He's going to pull a huge list of what they found. And I know why he's doing it, because he's a genius. Think about this. We know what he's talking about because we follow the news outlets that actually gives us the information. For those who just watch CNN or MSNBC or ABC, NBC, whatever, which their paychecks are tied to this USAID, are going to give you the Democrats' talking points and not exactly what they're finding. So, what is the largest audience that is not all right leaning? It's going to be a mix of everybody. But to put out a commercial during the Super Bowl. And if it does anything, because a lot of them will say, why is Elon Musk, he lied? Because that's what the news will tell you, that he's lying to you. So, but at least it might open the door for a conversation, and mainstream media cannot ignore certain things, or else, I mean, their credibility is already shot, but they don't want it to get any worse. And the owners of these news outlets are trying to slow the bleeding down. That's why they're firing a lot of their extremist uh, uh, commentators and stuff that work for their networks. So there's certain things they got to do, or they don't got to, but they will do. As long as it's in your face. It's kind of like how Trump said, too big to rig, too much information to ignore. So if you're not getting your information from a variety of sources, and you're just still in that little bubble, because they've learned nothing. They've literally learned nothing. I mean, when they stood outside on that podium and they started hollering about take it to the streets, we're fighting people. If President Trump would have used that language, matter of fact, they still tried to claim he dog whistled violence for J6, and he didn't. But what if he'd actually said stuff like that? The hypocrisy is so laughable anymore that it's a good thing that our side's in charge right now, because we can laugh about it. If we wasn't in charge, we wouldn't be laughing. We would be disgusted and trying to figure out how to work through it. So it's a good thing. And like I said, I hope that President Trump can force Congress to enact some of this stuff permanently, not just by an executive order. And did you see on his way to the Super Bowl, he flew over the Gulf and he signed the executive order to change it. Google Maps and all that now is changing it to the Gulf of America. Hey, Betty. Uh, Trump, he is definitely an entertainer. And we appreciate his humor. They do not. They have no sense of humor whatsoever. And that humors me, actually. I mean, I'm tickled. This has been a good month. Uh, it really has. But it's not, well, hell, it ain't even been a month. It's crazy. So I think we ought to definitely support D.O.G.E and what they're doing. And they're already trying to call him in to testify. Uh, when you're not done, how do you call people in to test like you're doing an audit? It's okay. So they're going to do an audit over the entire, you know, span of the U.S. government, but they're going, they're breaking it down by department. So, and then they should, they should put together a report. And this is all it is Elon Musk does not have any power. And they're talking about how they have no security clearance to get people's social security numbers. What does social security numbers have to do with these people spending U.S. taxpayer money in these projects. That has nothing to do with anybody's social security number. They're acting like they're getting into the personal income of each employee, because honestly, it don't matter. It's a small it's a small part of the equation about what these government employees are earning. It's what they're doing for their earnings and what kind of almost it's legal but illegal. You know what I mean? It's unethical. So and I say illegal. It should be illegal because it's treasonous in a way, because they're promoting other people over us. They're promoting these other institutions, these countries over us. So that should be treasonous, but it's not. There's a whole bunch of things, but, let's wipe that away. Let's see where the money's going. Let's see who it benefits, and let's see how many employees we don't need in that department. Because I've seen they pulled the name off the front of the building, which once again the left went ballistic over. It's a department we don't need anymore. Because basically, from what I have been watching in the news, it's just an extension of the CIA anymore. Uh, the CIA needs to be reeled in. The FBI needs to be reeled in. For these departments to tell Marco Rubio that they don't answer to the president, they don't answer to Elon Musk, and they absolutely don't answer to him. Well, he proved them wrong by, of course, it all goes through the president, by putting them on administrative leave and only keeping, I think it was 294. Y'all help me out on that number, but I think it was 294 out of how many thousands of employees that they kept actually working. It's kind of like, and they act like, well, it can't be done, it can't be done. Well, no, Elon Musk has proved that time and time again. How many people did he get rid of at X, at Twitter? And Twitter's doing just fine. I keep saying Twitter because when I say X, I think of SpaceX, and and then I seen where um, some of the politicians are trying to say that Elon Musk is like his work environment for his employees is dangerous, and that people have been hurt and died. And, every everything, every manufacturing facility, every construction site, uh, when you do it in large scale, sometimes you're going to have accidents, and sometimes it's operator error. Sometimes it's just nobody's fault. It's just like the perfect storm, something happened. But for them to act like, I mean, have you seen his manufacturing plants? Come on. To say that he has an unsafe environment for his workers and he's just trying to use the government to uh, get out of that kind of thing as liability or whatever. It's the richest man in the world. I mean, I'm sure that he can pay anybody who's been, uh, even if something went to court, he can afford to pay it off, pay whatever the judgment might be or whatever it is. You don't need the U.S. government to uh, run through to keep him shielded from that kind of thing. It makes no sense. They make some dumb arguments, and it's downright odd. It really is. Let's see here. Sorry, guys, I was busy rambling. Let me read this. See here. Happy people saw psychopaths running the Board of Education. That poor guy standing at the door of the Board of Education. Now, let's be honest. They can say what they want, but when you have 30 plus people uh, coming at the door all at once, I don't care. They act like their shit don't stink. Well, you do realize we're congressmen and women. You can't block us from coming through, but I am. Who gave you the authority to do this? My boss. Are you taking it upon yourself to do this? I am not. The man was so simple with his answers. And it's just like, we're not criminals. We're congressmen and women. Blah, blah, blah. I wouldn't let y'all's asses in anyway. You're just trying to get a photo op. You're not wanting to get in there and have it. Where was y'all last 4 years plus before that? Now all of a sudden, President Trump campaigned on this. He campaigned on this last time about putting the Department of Education back to the states. The federal government ain't doing a good job at it. You know, and why? And I never did understand why they would fight school choice so much. Why would you? I mean, you would want your parents to be engaged with their children's education. And if that means they want to have a decision in where they can send their child, and if they have federal funds, state funds allocated to their child for education, and it shouldn't matter which school it goes to, if that's the school that that parent thinks is best for their child, why would you fight that? I never understood the argument and why anybody would agree to that argument. You know, like a regular citizen out here, why would you, agree to that politician that says these things? I don't know. Sorry, Rusty. Let me read your chat there, buddy. Well, that's what I was saying earlier, Rusty. The actual department is the unaccountable bureaucrats are being dispersed. Uh, Marco Rubio is going to be in charge of it, and I guess they're always was supposed to be in charge of it, but nobody ever did. So, I could be wrong. That's what I understood. Um, I didn't know much about them, to be honest with you, till all this broke. And so many other people didn't know much. That's amazing how much of your own government you don't know nothing about. And if you're just trying to like raise your kids, go to work, own a home, plan a vacation, you know what I'm saying? Uh, Buy a car, just take vacations, whatever. You think the government is in good hands, and a lot of times it's not good hands depending on which party you're for. But when your party's in the power, you assume, okay, at least for now, it's in good hands. It's amazing how many of us, and I say us, I don't know about all of y'all, but me, uh, and I consider myself like I'm into politics fairly decent, uh, but I never did follow the money so as per se as what I do now. Uh, but that's the secret. You want to connect the dots, follow the money. So it's just amazing how much we don't know, and hopefully by the time this 4 years is up, Hopefully, it'll go further than that. Uh, More of us will be educated on our government and the stupidity of all these. Because just about everybody in Congress is a lawyer. All these lawyers, and they're stupid. I did not realize you could actually be a lawyer, pass the bar and be a lawyer, and then go to Congress and end up being stupid. Sorry, guys. Man, I'm way behind on this chat room tonight. I understand the school system doesn't teach phonics day stuff. Yeah, yeah. Rusty, they're not everybody that's doing the job is somebody that is probably the ultimate perfect person for that job. But in some cases, at least in Trump's circle, he was the best for that job that's been brought to his attention. And hopefully, you know, certain things keep people in line in check, and hopefully we'll see. I mean, from what I watched him do in the negotiations that he's supposedly been involved in, like Panama and stuff like that, uh, as long as he does what the president asks him to do, I can't ask him to do anything else more than that. You know what I mean? And I know he wanted amnesty and all that stuff, and you know, as far as like, and then we'll go back to that same that the old argument about the dreamers. Um, maybe there should be something for the dreamers, not necessarily the parents who brought them here, but the ones who were little children when they were brought here or weren't even born yet when they, because their parents, it's if they're born here, I guess they're automatically, but still, uh, I do feel for them a little bit. I'm not a complete asshole when it comes to immigration. Hey, Truth, what's going on? Yeah, Papa, that's right. Book smarts don't mean common sense. And that's what most of us have is common sense. Uh, but but sorry, we get back to Marco Rubio and the the stuff that he uh, promotes, allocates for, or whatever. I'm not 100% against some of his positions. I do think there should be things, you know, made a little bit more difficult. You can't just jump in here. Even the dreamers, they should have to go through some kind of deal. Even if, let's say, they wanted their parents to stay, because I'm trying to have a heart here, and it may even be unpopular here, guys. But like the parents, they've been here so many years, and uh, maybe for those who have, and only those who have the children here that are considered under the Dreamers umbrella, uh, the parents having to go through some because they broke the law when they come here, so uh, they need to pay a cost for that. But let's say a fine, and they still got to go. Let's say we still give them an opportunity to be a U.S. citizen, just like everybody else who has to fly over here and file for visa and spend years trying to, work in this country and go through the process of being a U.S. citizen and pay the money and all the immigration lawyers and all that other stuff. Um, I agree. If for one thing, they have made it for those that we would really like to have as a U.S. citizen. They've made it hard for them, and it's why it's so. Uh, what's a good word I'm looking for? It's like a spit in their face to be able to walk across the southern border and have no real education, no skill set, uh, because and you don't know what their skill set is because they don't have any education. I mean, they're not coming over here to be lawyers or nothing like that. They're coming in here to take labor jobs, which I'm a laborer myself. It is what it is. But when we want to bring people in here from other countries, we needed a balance. We need a balance between those who work with their hands like me and then those who uh, diagnose our illnesses and things like that, or help build our next car evolution of whatever car we may be uh, building in this country. There's got to be a balance, and they've got to make it easier for those. And I do not agree with the lottery system. That lottery bullshit, I completely disagree with that. I think every person that comes to this country that wants to be a U.S. citizen ought to do it on merit. And like I said, there needs to be a fine balance between needing allowing people to come in just as their only skill set is they can be a laborer. It's to start somewhere because that means they get in here, they become a laborer, and then their children maybe they can send to college, and then their children become an engineer or a doctor or a scientist or whatever. It it's got they it's been broken so long, and the thing is when you know something's broken or something is more complex or harder than it has to be for decades, and neither side has tried to fix it. It's almost become a campaign talking point. It's kind of like it's kind of like I'll give you an example. When President Trump put the U.S. embassy, changed it over there in Israel, and presidents before him all promised in their campaigns, Bush, even Obama, promised to change it, and they never did. Trump actually did, and people went apeshit over it. When previous presidents promised to do it, like it was a good campaign slogan, and he actually did it, and people got pissed off about it. So it's okay to campaign on it. It sounds good. It's like a feel good thing until you actually really follow through with it. And then it's like, oh, no, that was just a campaign slogan. Tired of the campaign slogans. Promises made, promises kept. That's the only slogan I need to hear anymore. See, U.S. About immigrant people are allowed to slip in and pay no taxes. Yeah, we know this. That's what I'm saying. It's truth seeker. It's it's like one of the oldest stories in modern time, slipping through the southern border and staying in our country. But yet nobody wants to secure the border, and nobody wants to make it easier for those who are seeking to be a citizen of this country. Uh, and those who want to do it right, play by the rules, follow the laws. They don't make it easy for them. That's why it's so disheartening. It has to. That's why I believe a lot of Latinos and people actually voted for Trump is because for those who actually became citizens the right way, and they look at these and they go, "What the? This is stupid." And then the other side to that story now, which is a modern times problem. I'm sure it was a problem before, but it's definitely a modern times problem. Is the criminals that specifically come across the southern border, uh, like terrorism, activism, uh, you know, expanding the criminal cartels of the world, not just, you know, Venezuela and Mexico and all them, but of the world. We got criminal entities that are making money inside this country that are come through the southern border that literally represent all corners of the earth. And our stupid politicians have allowed that to happen. Yeah, Betty, that's, and, they say that, they're like that in college until they get into the workforce. But some people get jobs when they get out of college that keeps them in that mindset. So it just depends on what job they actually got when they get out of college. But they have so many different uh, useless degrees in college. It, at one time, college was not a scam. You hear Charlie Kirk, college is a scam. Modern day college is a scam. I mean, when and they make fun about it, like modern lesbian dance theory is a degree. It sounds like a joke, but it is not. When they talk about all these uh, liberal arts degrees, none of it. Whenever they say something like political science or what's the other one? I, oh, it's at the top of my head. It'll come to me. Um, but these degrees are jokes, and for the amount of money that these people are paying for these degrees, if they get a job in those fields, not the lesbian dance theory, but let's say journalism, they get a job in journalism. Uh, Unless very few people are on TV, a lot of them are trying to go out there and they write obituaries and do whatever, or they become some kind of a speech writer for some left or right wing, and they don't make a lot of money, so they're paying all that money for that degree, and they don't get no real return on their investment. So that's where the Charlie Kirk's thing is: college is a scam, because it really is. Let's see here, guys. I'm sorry, I'm trying to read the chats here. Well, Doris, not everybody coming across southern borders coming from Mexico. They're just passing through Mexico. Uh, it's funny to see, all these places like California that has all these huge protests. We don't have those protests here. They only have those protests in places that are already like sanctuary city areas, because the rest of the country won't put up the bullshit. Uh, so yeah, so not it's not all. What's wrong with Mexico? You ask. It's dangerous. The cartels run the government. Uh, you know, the military and the local police. do nothing to interrupt anything that the cartels do. So you're dealing with a very lethal form of justice there, and you could look at a person the wrong way if they're in part of the cartel and you get killed and there's nobody there to give your family any peace or justice in the court system. So it's a dangerous place. That's why when Trump says, we'll send our military over there and take them out, what's Mexico going to do? Nothing. We protect Mexico from everybody else. So Trump had, it sounds bad, but it isn't bad. Trump's right. If we are in this business of protecting all these other countries and in a lot of times paying for a lot of bullshit from these other countries, we should get something for our efforts, our trying to think of another good word, our risk, basically. We risk our people, we risk our money, helping these other countries out, and a lot of them spit in our faces. That I'm tired of. Yeah, truth. I am too. Men should not be competing against women. It's a dangerous thing. Yep, truth. That's what I'm saying. China. There's a lot of people. China is just one of many foreign. I'd say adversary. I'm gonna call them adversary because they would take us out in a heartbeat if they thought they could, and they've been working on it. This is where all this um, man to be a woman, woman to be a man, all these social norms that is kind of out there a little bit from what we grew up with. Uh, they threw all this retardedness in there to keep us occupied, to take our eye off the ball of what these other countries are doing, like China coming in and actually buying up land and farms and stuff in the United States. I don't think a foreign country should be able to purchase something like a natural resource in another country. It's one thing to do business with another country, but to go in and purchase a resource like farmland, I don't know. It's just something ain't right about that. Betty, I'm missing what you're saying about what about your Hispanic students? They terrified their parents. Were they made to go back? Oh, stay outside a resort in Mexico, and you'll find. Yeah, you will. So, okay, I see what you're saying. So, if they go back to Mexico to visit, I take it they're scared. Seeing things that don't make sense is how does 300,000 plus children. This I don't. I'm not saying there's nowhere to be found. Is they did not make it to where they were able to keep track of these children. So they went off with non-relatives or even relatives that are not in the system because they're illegals themselves. Maybe uh, they come up here or are actually quite worse, a lot more heinous reasons. Um, but from what I understand, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong, They found like several thousand of these children now just by doing these raids and getting these criminals. And I literally seen a reporter on CNN uh, making a big deal to, was it Chrissy No, about the detainees at Gitmo having to sleep on cots and tents. Seriously? Have you been in North Carolina? They got to do after the flooding, the hurricanes and stuff went through there, and they're worried about criminals having to sleep on cots and tents that look kind of nice, actually. I mean, these people are, I don't know, I guess I always say people, I've been asked before, because I have some criminals in my family, uh, what's the difference between a person who abides by all the laws and don't steal, don't try to harm other people or whatever, and then those who do and then have no remorse. I say it's a chemical makeup. That's what I believe that uh, that when you're born, there's this certain like receptors in your brain or whatever that fire different things that changes your emotions about certain things and makes it like I could not steal. It would make me nauseous. I just couldn't do it. But I have relatives that could do it and laugh about it, and no big deal. So it, there's when it comes to all these people who have no problem with all this other stuff that's bad in our country, like the children thing and the trying to defend the illegal aliens that are here that are breaking the law. Um, their brains just ain't firing all right. They're not firing in the same receptors that me and you fire on. It's a chemical makeup. There's an imbalance in there, and I wish there was some way to fix that, but there's not. And of course, I guess it's what makes the world what it is. But if you notice, there's more of the wrong than there is of the right anymore. And you can teach, even though they may be firing on different cylinders, you can teach them, and they will eventually. Some people do eventually recognize the errors of their ways, basically. And but it doesn't happen for everybody. So let me read the chat here. How have my family's criminals? Yeah, they're half in law enforcement. I don't have any in law enforcement. I do have some that were in the military. Uh, I hate to say it, Betty. I mean, I've had, uh, a lack of a better term, because it ain't always was necessarily they're doing 100%, but I've got family members that have murdered people, uh, robbed banks, stole cars, made moonshine, bootlegged, um, did a little bit of everything, but it just wasn't me. I'm kind of like the outcast. What about the vets? Please provide them with some free housing. All the 0.6% of the budget that somebody on Killer Carl's thing was trolling us last night. Was talking like it was no big deal. We're making a big deal out of 0.6% of the total budget, but you got to start somewhere. But anyways, that amount of money alone, just what's been already announced in the media, uh, the list, at least the right side media, the list alone with those amounts of dollars, I don't think we'd have a homeless vet in this country. I mean, unless it costs more to house a vet than I realize, because I mean, I go by my own personal expenses of what it costs. I mean, you know, I can live. I live on know, less than $30,000 a year now since I've been disabled. And I get by. So, and I live in a home. So, if that amount of money could, and that's feeding me too, by the way, and I'm not a little guy because I don't get food assistance, so that's all out of my pocket. Um, there shouldn't be a homeless vet in this country just by that 0.6% of wasted money. Not all that money is probably wasted, but just out of their wasted portions of that budget. Way to go, Betty. Yeah, I have no doctors or lawyers in my family. I kid you not. We straight up criminals. Well, not anymore. Could just say that. Patriots should be someone who loves their country, obey the laws, and has respect for a fellow man. Yeah, I mean that's simple. That's a simple explanation right there. That right there says it all. I consider myself a patriot. Um, I've always considered myself. I don't know what it is. I have been mad at this country and happy with this country in several different times in my lifetime. Uh, but I love this country. So I would die for this country. And I think about some of the senseless reasons why some of our military people have died over the last 40 years, 30 years. Well, no, let's go back to Vietnam. I mean, the reasons why our military people have died, it's all been political. Not because, I mean, they do it in the name of liberating somebody or pulling somebody out of tyranny or whatever. When's the last time we fought somebody? And I know we're going to say the war on terror, but somebody who, like, a country who was attacking us. We always seem to be butting into other people's business. And I know sometimes other people's business can escalate into something that would not be in our best interest. Um, that's fine, but I don't think our politicians have been good arbiters of determining what that is. So it's it's a new day. It's a new day. You know, somebody said something. Well, we were talking about the Constitution earlier about the lefties are trying to say that it's unconstitutional. Them trying to fire these uh, employees at USAID, which is not. But I doubt if most of your politicians can even, in my opinion, if you're going to be in Congress, I ain't saying you should know the Constitution word for word because there's a lot there, uh, but you should know your shit a little bit. It's like when AOC trying to say that tell Tom Holman that uh, people who haven't committed a crime over here like rape or theft or whatever are just good people trying to become citizens. They haven't broken any laws, and he tried to explain to them that they did when they come across the southern border, and then she tried to say it was a civil law. And this is a congressperson not knowing that that's not true. It's an actual criminal offense. Well, truth seeker, I so hopefully Trump will. Uh, and I don't have much faith in a lot of the Republicans that are already in Congress, but it might inspire the next generation of wannabe Congress people to become congressmen and women for the right reasons and to do the right thing. And I think I always harp on that term limits. I want term limits. Got to have term limits. And even on staffers for these non elected bureaucrats, since they keep saying that Elon Musk is a non elected individual. You know, say lovey. All I can tell them is suck on it. Uh, Elections have consequences. They screwed the pooch. They allowed an idiot to become in charge of our country, and then they tried to replace him with another idiot. And I ain't saying she's dumb now. You can't be a prosecutor and not be smart, but she's a dumb politician. There is a difference. She's not a good politician. How she got that far is beyond me. I'm still dumbfounded with somebody who couldn't even get through the primaries when she was running for president before. And everybody thought she was like one of the worst people in Congress and Senate. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, she's the best thing since sliced bread when they replaced her, when they replaced Biden with her. I mean, they have, it's like they got no, that's a good word I'm looking for, like roots. They don't do anything with conviction. They do it with fake conviction. But then they can change their position on a dime or whatever it may take to keep power or to get into power. So, you know, like I said, for a room full of lawyers, some of the dumbest people in the country, is what it is. They may not like it, but it's true. Elections are a popularity contest, but that's where you the last 4 years have made this country so fed up that even people who don't agree with us normally agreed that the country cannot sustain more than uh, of the same of what's been going on for the last 4 years. So even those who they had to swallow their pride and say it's got to something different, got to be something different. Whether they believe that he was going to be 100% better for the country or not, they just know that he wasn't them, and his ideas are not theirs. And the thing is I love it when people don't, when they get upset when he actually follows through with what he campaigned on, because they're so used to campaigning on everything and hardly ever doing anything that they campaigned on. When he campaigns and tries to do everything, and he can't, that's what they say, he didn't fulfill all of his promises the first time. Well, no, he did not. He was blocked. He was impeached. He was lied about. He was leaked on. He was, lied to. Uh, I mean, it was basically a coup against a sitting president. And then once he got out of power, then it became a lawfare against the political opponent. So they literally, it's kind of hard to fulfill all your promises to the American people when you're being bombarded by all fronts, from the left and the right. But this time, people were so tired of the last 4 years that they knew something had to change. It almost like, President Trump could have ran on that slogan Obama had, hope and change. That's what everybody was doing here. They were hoping for change. And they kind of knew that if they didn't block him, that the things that he was promising to do to fix, he would do, as long as the resistance wasn't so overwhelming that he couldn't get nothing done. And don't get me wrong, the resistance is deep, but the support is just as deep. It ain't much deeper, because I don't like this slim margin to have this tit for tat with these Republicans that are, Republicans in name only, that have a problem. It's like, I hope for sure that Kash Patel and Tulsi Gabbard and RFK get in. I mean, they are so afraid of Kash Patel. It is unreal. And I've liked Kash Patel for a very long time. I thought he seemed like, and everybody that's ever interviewed him, that kind of agrees with him, like us, agree with him somewhat, for the most part. Believe he was honest and his integrity was there. Dan Bongino, same person. He has a lot of faith in Kash Patel. And I think Dan Bongino I like a lot, and when he's got confidence in somebody that's going to be in charge of the FBI, pretty much, yeah, okay, he's going to do a good job. But they're so afraid of him. And there's so many, everybody has so many reasons of why they think they're afraid of him. But the number one reason is the Epstein files. And do y'all agree with me on that or not? That's one of the biggest fears they have of Kash Patel, is that as long as the president has no problem with it, and he don't, he wants to open up all these files and make them public. And that's what they hate. Transparent. Isn't that funny? They're fighting so hard to keep transparency from happening. And then, they made a big deal when that lonely old security guy was standing in front of the doors of the Department of Education, talking about this administration promised more transparency. How can they be transparent if you won't let us in the door? And he told them, you can call and make an appointment, set up a meeting with them. Well, that's what we're trying to do now. Let us in. That's what we want to do. No, not happening. Y'all ain't shit. I don't care who you are. Don't matter. Let's see. Same previous. I told him. Same previous. He's on stage. That's why. Watch what? What I missed, Stephanie? So you guys, y'all. I'm glad y'all talking amongst yourselves. That's good because I'm sitting here rambling on and I'm not keeping up with the old chat like I normally do. Yeah. Cash, definitely. We all agree about Cash Patel. Well, see, Truth, that's Trump's got. He's kind of right. You can. You don't need the Department of Education as far as an entity that tells the rest of the country how to educate. Um, when he's talking about closing it down and sending it back to the states, it's kind of like, and it's a sore subject, but like the abortion law. Take it out of the federal and put it back to state, and let your state. Reagan used to say it all the time. This is why states should have more power than the federal government, because at least if you don't like it, things going the way you just can't stand in your state, there's 49 other states you have an opportunity to move to, but when it becomes federal, there's nowhere else to go unless you don't want to be a U.S. citizen no more. So taking uh, doing away with the Department of Education, see, that's all these departments were just let's think about this. They were just developed to get control over the U.S. population, because they say, come to daddy for everything you need. It's like, like the Great Society, the Great New Deal. That's you don't need your father in the house no more. You've got the U.S. government that's going to help raise your child with you. It's the same thing. Every time they make something, they take something away from the states. Now we pay taxes, so there's nothing wrong with giving a portion, federal funding to each state to help fund their local stuff like education. But the states ought to be able to run their their testing on how well their schools are, how they gauge their schools, how well they're doing, what they offer in their schools. Things like that, where the federal government, it's like school lunches and stuff like that, which is all ran through that. Leave it to the states. Your governor and your local politicians should have a better handle on, and it allows you, the citizen of your state, to have some voting power, because you're voting on what's happening in your state, not having to deal with the populations of the other states in the country that may not hold the same values that you have in the state that you're in, whether you're in a red, blue, purple, whatever state. So there's nothing wrong with putting that back to the state. Why do they make such a big deal about that? Because it's taken more power away from the federal government, giving it back to the states. These federal politicians and their little DC bubble want to tell, and a lot of them, DC is just an extension of New York and California and basically Colorado, stuff like that. So I don't like a bunch of people who don't live around me telling me how to raise my kids or uh, what to do with my personal medical needs, whether whatever, however you fall, like on the abortion deals, however you fall on that, whether it's pro-life or what they call anti-abortion or pro-abortion or whatever, or uh, term limits as far as or am I saying that right? The latest late term, the furthest, if you're going to allow it to stop at a certain point. That's all stuff that should be something you and your neighbors decide, not Washington D.C. So, and I believe that as far as education too. And seeing, I think honestly, the competitive side of me says that if you had 50 states, it could be 51, Canada, we're looking at you, although that'd be a big ass state, a little bit of competition going on. Uh, if all these states we have like a national testing, even though it's each state doing their own testing. Uh, who wants to be last? You know what I mean? To me, it should be competitive to where I want my state to be number one. You know what I mean? Number one. It's like we're number one in college football. We should be number one in education. And, there are various other things you can go with that to do it, but it's to compete. That's a good, you know what I mean? It's like it's, everybody is just that's like getting a trophy to participate. Well, those days are over with. You want a trophy, you're going to have to earn it now. You're going to have to win to get a trophy, not just participate. And the way it should be. It is what it is. Oh, let me get into the chat here. What am I missing? What are we disagreeing on here? True. FBI website. Look at the symbolism. Got the FBI website and look into the symbolism for pedophilia. Men make more in the same field. What is that? So you believe in the disparity in wages, but there's a lot of causation to why that there is disparities in wages, but there's good, honest reasons why that is. It's not just because uh, a man they feel like a man is worth more than a woman. That's not how that works. So I don't believe in the disparity of wages because of the sex that you are. Hold on, y'all going too fast for me. See, in my experience, buddy, I'm missing a serious conversation here. Well, I think Congress people, Lori, should have to show up for work just like everybody else. So if she was found in a nursing home, was she voting at all? And if so, how? Because it used to, you had to be present to vote before COVID. So I'm kind of curious about that. Uh, Experience. Stephanie and Buddy, what are we talking about? I'm missing something here. Buddy, I see you talk about homeschooling here. Um, Let me tell you about homeschooling. I believe homeschooling is only as good as the parent because the way they do modern day homeschooling, uh, you have a national homeschool education system set up to where the student has to do so much work on the computer and does that kind of thing uh, for homeschooling, and that's all they got to do. Um, that's not really quality education, in my opinion. Uh, Now, back in the day when you had homeschooling, uh, to where the parent, usually the mother, but it could be either one, actually sitting down teaching, or all these things. But with the poorness of our education system, a lot of young parents today aren't really capable of teaching their young children a whole lot at home, but yet they want to do homeschooling. And the reasons for homeschooling lately that I've seen is because uh, the parent, usually a single mother, said they can't get their kid out of bed because they're getting in trouble. They're having to go to court because their kid's delinquent from school or tardy all the time or whatever. So out of frustration and try to defend against that, they go for the route of homeschooling, and then they throw their kid in front of a computer. And then if the kid has any questions, they have to submit a question to whoever the moderator is in the computer and do it that way because usually the parent can't answer the question. Back in the day, the parent used to be the educator and you could trust, and they still had to go through and pass certain criteria of test score of level. Uh, but it's a different time. People talk. I I was just talking about term limits earlier. You don't necessarily have to be in Congress very long to get corrupt, which is the reason why I like term limits for Congress people and their staffers, is because of trying to root out the corruption. But when AOC, who's been what in Congress 7 years now, 8 years, 7 years, I think. Maybe 8 years is coming up, I think. So yeah, going on 7 years. Correct me if I'm wrong, but she's worth $29 million, and this was uh, a lowly paid bartender who was struggling to pay her college loan, and from a fluke. Now she did the work. She went door to door in her district where she won because her person that she was running against got too confident, too lazy to go out and do the work. So she won. How she keeps being reelected is beyond me. But so she goes from being a bartender who can't pay her bills to being worth $29 million in less than 8 years. So corruption can happen as fast as the individual that can be corrupted. So I find that downright disgusting. And let's be honest, she's not a lawyer. She's not, you know, she never owned a business. She's just an average person like one of us, which more power to her. I'm glad that that still shows a regular person can be elected into Congress. But she's such a weasel and she's not a very trustworthy person. Uh, I'm trying to think of a nicer word, but a worse word to describe her. Uh, she's collecting bank. I think every time she goes up for reelection, I don't think she assumes that she might not win. So she's collecting all the money she possibly can. So she's getting on all these committees. So all her vote is worth something to her donors to and there ought to be a way to have better oversight in seeing somebody's income jump that fast that, let's be honest, was not going to be able to do that kind of income in her life if she hadn't got into politics. Truth seeker, I'm an obese guy. I've been big all my life. I was the big kid in school back in the 70s. I was, you know what I mean? There was no overweight problem or anything like that. I don't know what it is, genetics or whatever. But I've always been the big kid. And I've worked hard. So I've worked, I'm not, I, I wasn't lazy. But I believe uh, that physical education does need to be forced because there's so many people bringing in doctor's notes about why their kid can't participate in PE. I mean, these doctors need to be reined in a little bit on that kind of bullshit too, because they they're willing to dismiss and script away everything in life that ails somebody anymore. And did y'all see they got a new drug coming out uh, that is opioid free, which kind of tickles me to death because I'm on pain meds, and I'm kind of curious to see. And if it is opioid free and it does work as far as my pain level, uh, what the effects is going to be to me to get off what I'm taking now, and which I know it'll be a struggle because I've seen people that went down some very dark paths because they couldn't handle not being on it after they'd been on it for a while. I'd like to think I'm gonna have a stronger character as far as getting through something like that. But you don't know till you know. But I'm kind of curious about this new drug if it really does work and if it is opioid free and doesn't have that uh, physical addiction that current pain meds have for people. Let's see here. I missed see Justice Democrats AOC. Your campaign starts with the Progressive Political Action Groups. Yeah, yeah. You're right, Rusty. No, it doesn't help, Papa. But we most of America drinks soda. Now that don't may not mean much to you guys, but I have a sugar problem. So I drink soda, and let me tell you something. Soda is not the reason why I'm fat. Let's get off that right there. Anybody thinks that is true, that's bullshit. Soda is not the big end all be all why people are overweight. Now you can abuse it, obviously, but there's so many reasons why people have the reasons why, and some people are just a big person. Just like I said, I was just as active as the rest of my family growing up. I have a skinny brother, and I have a brother that was skinny all the way up to his 50s, and he started gaining a little bit of weight. And matter of fact, they used to call him fat when I was the bigger one of the group. But you know, for those who like to wave that wand, being all I'm perfect, do you drink soda at all, Papa? Are you soda free? And how many people do you know that are, there's, I know a lot of people drink soda and they're skinny as a rail. Sorry, guys, I'm trying to catch up on the old chat rooms here. Some people don't drink soda, Rusty. You drink coffee? I don't even know what that is, Rusty, for pain. Send me a dude. You got my DM me uh, what that is and how to get it. I'll give it a shot. No, there's no such thing as being big bone there, truth seeker. Well, I drink a ton of water also there, truth seeker. As a matter of fact, I buy the big, large case of water and I go through it a lot faster than I drink soda. Matter of fact, if you'd been on the live stream on Rumble last night, you'd have seen I was drinking water, not soda. See, I don't drink Beverly. That's a guy. I don't drink regular. I don't drink regular soda. I drink this diet. It's about the only thing I drink. Uh, and reason being, like I said, I have a sugar problem. But I've been drinking diet since the early '90s. Uh, but I don't drink Coca Cola. I don't drink Pepsi. I don't drink any of that. I don't drink coffee. Yeah, fish. The thing with me on, like you say, you start lifting weights and doing cardio. I have not the ability to do neither one, my friend. Uh, between, I'm not getting everything that I got going on, but it it would make me bedridden if I was to do that. I wouldn't be able to do that. I'd be in a wheelchair. I used to lift weights back in the day. Those who don't know me, I, as far as being on this live stream too much, uh, I got into martial arts back when I was 15 years old, and I was a green belt in Kempo and a brown belt in Taekwondo. And I did that for years, all the way up till my early 40s. And then I started having physical problems. And then it just kind of got worse. Like I said, I've always been physical. Just never been little. See, and I just like I quit drinking. I don't drink any alcohol. Thank you, Fish. Yeah, Beverly, but you know, some people they act like if they don't know your situation, they don't get it when you say, "Well, I'm not able to do that." They first go to the "Why you're just lazy." Uh, no, no, it's not it. So you know, I, I hate to have to explain myself, and I really don't like explaining myself to a bunch of people. Uh, just to accept me for who I am. Um, I am all for making sure our youth does better than us. Uh, we need to improve things physically, and and let's be honest. I eat the American diet, same as everybody else, and we all know we've been fed a dirty bill of goods when it comes to the American food chain here, with all the processed foods and the stuff that they put in our foods, and you know it's not been good for this country, and it's almost like it was um, a design, predetermined design to do this. And I don't know, that may sound like a conspiracy theory. I don't know, but if you think about it, a lot of countries don't allow the things that our country has allowed us. Our government has allowed these food corporations to uh, do in our food. It's simple things like food coloring. You've seen the difference. You've seen where they held up a bag of Fruit Loops, one from the UK or one from the United States. United States is just a little bit more rich in color or whatever, but the UK one still had the same color, just a little darker, dingier color look, but the flavor is the same. So their country won't allow those food dyes, but yet that food corporation is capable of following the rules to sell that product in their country. But yet, and obviously they can afford to buy their cereal over there, or else, are they saying that the reason for here is because we won't purchase the food because it costs too much because of the dye they use? They're just saving money to give us what we want. I miss, yeah. Thanks, guys. I know. It rubs me raw a little bit sometimes when people want to dismiss people who are overweight. Now, I say that I cannot defend all these obese people who get on like TikTok and stuff and like to talk some insane shit, like you're supposed to. I'm not asking nobody to accept me from who I am. I'm just saying, don't treat me less. I'm not asking you to treat me any different, but don't treat me less just because I weigh more than that than you. And I also don't expect to get a free seat next to me in an airplane because of my size. That's my problem. That's not the, you know what I mean. That's not the like airlines. That's not their problem. That's my problem. It, so I don't like when people try to advocate for uh, fatness, but I also don't like people who like to say if like you're fat, you're less than. I'm gonna take another drink of my soda there. And you know, it's like a politician who's overweight, like Chris Christie. Let's be honest, and I don't like him, but he's had to take so much verbal abuse for him being overweight. Instead of just liking him or disliking him for the job performance of what he's capable of doing, they automatically go straight to the weight thing. I mean, what does him being overweight have anything to do whether or not he can be a governor, a good one or a bad one or not? That's nothing to do with it. See, that's what I'm saying, Lori. I let me tell you, we grew up poor. We didn't sit around and have food to snack on all the time. We didn't have. I didn't eat a restaurant pizza. When I say restaurant pizza, I mean something like Domino's. Until I was 12, almost 13 years old. So like eating out and like fast food restaurants and stuff like that, we never did that. Uh, our cabinets was not filled full of boxes of cereal or cases of soda or you know what I mean. It just wasn't. So yeah. Trump's not a little guy, uh, but he was skinny and gained a little bit of weight as he got older. As you know, a lot of people do. A lot of people gain weight as they get a little older. You see a lot of actors who like are in great shape, and the thing about acting is you're so used to like you can see a movie and like you can movie keeps an actor and actress young, and you may not see them out in public for a long time, and you think, well, I just watched the movie, whatever it may be, and it's the movie may be 10 years old, and then you see the actor or actress, and you go, oh my god, you tend to forget that you're looking at them in capsules of time from you know back then. Uh, but yeah, most people, especially in America, most people in America gain a little bit of weight as they get older. I don't know why that is, but it is. And it's the food we eat. It is. And it's the activities. A lot of people have like a change of life kind of thing that happens to them, to where for whatever reason they wake up one day, they may be 45 years old and never really exercised a whole lot or did any dieting or whatever, and all of a sudden they decided they have a new lease on life, and then going forward they live a different lifestyle. Then you have people who live a healthy lifestyle, and athletes is some of the ones that I notice the most. Once they get out of being a professional athlete, they kind of blowed up a little bit. So it's whatever happens in your world, your life. All I say is try. And I have a hard time doing this myself too. And I don't mean this by size or anything like this, but like when I see a purple-haired person, I kind of like jump to the first thing as a crazy leftist or whatever, and they may not be. So I say try our best. We all should try our best to not look at the book's cover, but what's inside the book. So if we all could do that better, and I know we all could do better, uh, the world would probably definitely be a better place. I have two dogs there, Truth, and I get you. They keep you active as much as you can be. They like to attack me in bed though, so I don't have to chase after them. They're pretty well trained, uh, but they like to jump on me, and when they get to playing around, especially on my bed, they'll be jumping around. You know how dogs be all up and fighting on each other and stuff, playing around. You tend to get in their way, you get hurt because their paws is now stomping on top of you, and they're like getting all over you and twisting themselves up in your blanket. But you gotta love dogs. Truth, I have a thing about respect. Now, if I don't know you and I meet you for the first time, you automatically have a certain amount of respect that one stranger can give to the other. Now, to me, it's up to you to keep that respect, because I have found more than not, I have lost respect over a lot of people. And I hate when people say, you know, they don't like being disrespected or whatever. Well, don't do something that's disrespectful and you won't get disrespected. Um, but yeah, I'm a firm believer in every stranger you meet should have a certain amount of respect, stranger to a stranger, and then it's up to that person whether they keep your respect or even your respect may grow even more. You may have more respect after you get to know them, or you may have less respect for them after you get to know them. But at least, no matter whether that person is 100 pounds or 400 pounds, uh, whether they're young, old, good looking, or ugly, uh, some people don't speak well, but yet they're not stupid. Some people are awkward, in a group setting. Hopefully, most of us are aware enough to recognize that stuff and allow a certain amount of uh, leeway, grace, whatever you want to call it, uh, to that individual who is like that. You take Elon Musk, who is autistic, right? They act like he's like does all these fucked up things. Uh, it's like when he did that, "You have my heart" deal. You know, he's an awkward person anyway. If you ever know, he's just an awkward, moving person. He does things awkwardly, but it's just the way he is because he has. I'm gonna use this term, people. He's one of those people I feel like has a beautiful mind. You may agree with me or not, but he sees the world as how it could be, not how it just is. And it takes a beautiful mind to see that. Guys, it's been fun. I don't know if we. Oh, people always want me to, before I get off here, people always want me to do an update on the Haitian thing. Every time I'm on Carl's uh, live stream on Saturday nights, which Killer Carl, free for all Saturdays. It's usually me and him, and sometimes Tyler. Tyler's there mostly too. Uh, 7:30 on Rumble. Killer Carl, free for all Saturdays. Be there, be square. Uh, but we had like a troller on there last night. Oh my god! I've had a couple trollers on this deal, but I guess YouTube it isn't as bad as Rumble because YouTube has community guidelines that kind of kicks people off real quick on that. But I offered for that individual to follow me on to this live stream tonight and have an honest conversation with me. And I thought they were going to because they were making some kind of positive comments about they was saying to Carl that it seemed like I was trying to engage with them with an honest, having to have an honest conversation. But they obviously didn't because I told them how to get a hold of me and they didn't do it. But anyways, saying that, like I said, Saturday night they usually ask me to do an update on the Haitian deal. Um, People all the time ask me how they keep getting these cars, if they keep wrecking these cars and all this other stuff. Uh, well, I know where they get them, and I've mentioned that before, and it really doesn't mean a big deal because anybody can go buy a car. Just they get offered a special deal with this Jeff Weiler here in Springfield. But there is a government program called Administration for Children and Families that give these Haitians, if you're an individual, you get a $3,000 grant to get into a house, an apartment, or whatever, and to purchase a car. For each individual now, if you're a family, like if you're like a woman with kids or whatever, you get $6,000. So, was you on there last night, Stephanie? I can't remember. I kind of got it. We go crazy. We're like three adolescent children on Saturday nights anymore, which I don't know who enjoys watching that kind of thing or not. I know people tune in for the politics, and we do keep it to the politics thing to a point, but we also act like adolescent children towards each other, and we have a good time. But last night, this individual that was trolling Carl, oh, he was relentless. He must have had, because every time they would, because it took a while for Carl to figure out, because he never had to uh, block anybody on Rumble before, so he didn't know how to do it. So somebody finally told him how to do it. This person must have had, oh man, he must have had 30 different accounts, because every time he get blocked, he'd jump right back in there with another account and just keep on going. Let's see, what are we asking here? I want to clarify the troll was evil. Oh yeah, yeah. But you notice I can't, and I called him a punk, because it come to a certain point where you just acting like a little punk. Uh, but I did offer him an opportunity to follow me over to this live stream and have an actual conversation, which I don't think he did because it is YouTube. Maybe I'm assuming, because YouTube would have tagged him out of there in a heartbeat. But if he did act like he did on Rumble. Um, Haitians are the Haitians in the U.S. legally? Truth, yes and no. Some came in illegally across the southern border, but here's what happened with that. So a certain portion was. Let's see if I can go back. Now we won't go all the way back to 2018. We'll just go back since 2021. So like 300,000. Biden deemed to come over here from Haiti under the temporary protective status. Okay, and then they added, I don't know, it was almost 500,000 by the time Biden finished it up for the end of his term. But what they did was, even those who come across the southern border illegally, gave them the opportunity. All they had to do is fill out a thing online to file for TPS to get it. Even though they're already here illegally, they didn't get like sanctioned or held accountable for doing it illegally. They automatically were okay to be eligible for this temporary protective status, and some were filing for refugee status. uh, And I guess it just depends on which part of Haiti you came from to whether or not you're eligible for the refugee status. It's how it gets mucky in there. It gets a little muddy. But so yeah, so the ones that can file for that $3,000 and $6,000 grant from the government through this administration for children and families. Does any of y'all know about that program? I didn't. So, when they talk about, well, no, these people ain't getting assistance through this and that and the other, and well, they're telling you the truth. They are not in those particular avenues of financial assistance like we're used to hearing about. But they put together these things like this here, and then you had all your NGOs. Your NGOs in this town are horrific. Uh, this is how a lot of these Haitians are able to live high off the hog in this town, is through these NGOs, and all that money coming in from the government, and it's done through USAID. Believe it or not, didn't know that till this week, but that's true. But yeah, so anyways, true. To answer your question is yes, they're actually here legally, uh, but they got here illegally. The last portion of them did. The first group did not. They got here. They were flown here, and then, like I said, when they extended the numbers, they opened it up for people who came across the southern border illegally to be able to apply for it if they were already here. So, which Trump, if I'm not mistaken, one of his executive orders was he removed that status on that group of people. I don't know about the original group, but on that group of people, I believe he signed an executive order that removed that from that. So ICE will be coming to a neighborhood near me, hopefully. So, anyways, I wanted to give you an update. People always ask about the Haitian thing, so that's a little quick update on that. So, uh, I don't think a lot of the stuff on my live streams, it's I like to think it's educational, but you guys are so well informed already that really a whole lot of things that I say is not stuff that you didn't already know. Uh, so if it's not educational, hopefully it's entertaining. Uh, Hearing from a guy like me, just like to ramble on, and I enjoy y'all's interaction. But I always want to offer it again tonight for those who are here, like to engage in a chat. Send me an email. I would like I had Carl on here week before last. Had a good time. People love having Carl on here. Matter of fact, I got some of my best responses. Apparently, I'm not entertaining enough myself. You got to, this is how I always like. I like being involved in Carl's live stream too, because I think it is better instead of just listening to me ramble, guys. I'd like to have some interactions, some conversation on camera instead of just in a chat uh, with some of you guys. It would be nice. It would be fun. And I know some are shy. I get it. If you noticed, if y'all watched Carl's live stream last night, he had an individual on there that turned his mic on but did not turn his camera on. So he was on here on the live stream last night having a conversation without being seen. Because a lot of people say, well, I'm camera shy. Well, you don't have to be on camera. You have an option. You can turn the mic on and turn the camera on, or you can leave the camera off and just turn the mic on. So you can have a conversation verbally instead of the old type thing. Thanks, guys. I enjoy your company too. What did James say? What did I say? What am I saying? I was expecting Elon's announcements for us. Didn't he? He didn't do his commercials. They said he was doing commercials. Could they have blocked his commercials? Stephanie, you're saying I'm the common collective one? When it comes to Saturday nights, if that's what you're talking about, which I think you are, yeah. When it comes between Carl and Tyler, see, they work together. Those who don't know, Tyler is the producer for uh, the John Fredericks conservative radio network. He produces the John Fredericks show in the mornings on Rumble, and then Carl and Tyler have a show called The Unelected on Tuesday nights, I think it is. So they're used to working with each other. So they have this. They have a lot of information they already talked to each other about. So I'm kind of like, what's a good word? The fill-in guy. I just jump in there when there's a blank spot in the talking, which is, let's be honest, very little between them two. So I kind of like jump in there with my, I don't know, opinion, I guess, of what little knowledge I have of the subject that we're talking about. Like last night, I mean, other than politics, they kept wanting to talk about Bigfoot, which, in all honesty, I did not. I did not want to talk about Bigfoot. I could care less about Bigfoot. You know, see, what a 2 hour tumblr size, better. Okay. Shadow View, you enjoy your company too. Commercials. I haven't been watching the game. Heck, I don't watch TV. Elon Musk's Time Magazine. Yeah. Uh, the Time Magazine thing. I think they did that to because they think Trump has this ego about who's in charge and who's working for who. So they put Elon Musk behind the Oval Office desk and the president's desk in the Oval Office. I think to try to get a rise out of President Trump, which obviously it didn't, because he knows the Time magazines, he knows who they are and what they're about. Yeah, Papa. See, I only have internet too. Now I have. Well, I say that I have some apps. Like I like my Paramount Plus and AMC Plus and my YouTube. Obviously, I have YouTube Premium. Uh, I was watching when I first uh, got to where I couldn't work no more, and I was laid up in bed. Uh, I was got so tired of watching them stupid commercials because you have to watch commercials on regular TV, and I was like, man, there ought to be a way to watch like you're used to HBO and Netflix or whatever. You have no commercials, and of course they had YouTube Premium, so I was like, yay! I think it's $12.99 a month. It's a lot of money, but I don't have to wait through the commercials. I can watch it, and I I I looked at all the people I subscribed to a couple of days ago. I subscribed to like 96 different people, which I kind of overkill. It really is. But you know, I'm never lack of entertainment. But I most of my stuff I watch is educational stuff. It's car stuff. So you know, well, to me it's educational. Now I watch a lot of political stuff. Yeah, time is trying to start shit popping. That's what I'm saying. They try to get a rise out of it. Like I said, President Trump knows who time's all about. They know what time's all about. They know who screw them. Try NVIDIA. Beverly, is that an app? Is that an app? And what's it about? You can do ad blockers without paying for premium. How do you do that? See, I'm retarded when it comes to the internet shit. So NVA or NVIDIA. If I can do ad blockers pop up without having to pay premium. Now is that YouTube? You can do the ad block. That's quite interesting. They Carl has for those who are talking about coffee drinking and stuff. Carl has a sponsor on his Rumble channel that's 5 Coffee, and I'm ordering it. Uh, I don't drink coffee, never really have. I can't stand the aftertaste. Uh, but they promise this one coffee is like really up there for people who don't drink a lot of coffee. So I I'm gonna give it a shot. So uh, I'm plugging them. 5 Coffee. Uh, they're Patriot owned. They support Carl, so I like to support them. So I told Carl and them I was going to give it a shot. So saying that, guys, Brave. What the hell is a Brave browser? You done lost me, Papa. Hmm. A Brave browser. Hmm. Let me look into that. All right, guys. Saying that, we are 2 hours and 37 minutes into me rambling. Once again, you don't have to be on camera. Shoot me an email, emptypocketsgarage@hotmail.com, and I'll send you a link, and you can just mic up and be on here, and we can have a verbal conversation. And I think it's more entertaining that way than just listening to me ramble. But saying that, I'll be here next Sunday. Hopefully, you guys will be too. I know I was going up against the Super Bowl tonight, but I don't think I really affected my core audience, obviously. So, guys, this is James, Empty Pockets Garage. Till next time, I'm out of here.